Hi, my name's Karen Michelle. Welcome to my channel and welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. It's been a while since I've made one of these beauty community rant videos and they do pretty well on my channel. So here's another one serving you some hot and fresh tea advice, information, and I hope you guys learn a little bit out of my video. And I totally worded that wrong, but it's okay. So today I want to not just talk about the drama between James Charles and Cody Rance, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about the beauty industry as a whole and Sephora and the business practices they've been doing in the past year. So if you don't know the story, Cody is a girl that makes 2-minute rant videos on Twitter, and her first viral video was the TanaCon video, and it got so popular that it was even featured in one of PewDiePie's videos. So I've been following her for a few months, and you know, if you followed her, that her rants are funny because yes, she's spitting facts, but she's also telling jokes, and the over-exaggerated anger is a troll to also because it adds the shock value. So if you didn't find her video funny enough to reply to, retweet, or like, you'll end up doing it out of anger, which is what James Charles ended up falling for when he responded. Like, congratulations, James, you played yourself. But the issue goes so much more deeper than a rant video on Twitter. So Morphe, we all know this year, it has been shoved down our throats more than any other brand. And at first Morphe was like a sponsorship. You'd quickly mention the product and suggest the code and then move on in a video. But now people are doing entire videos full of Morphe products, getting full makeup palette collabs with Morphe. But before I continue, let's go back a year. So a lot of these beauty gurus a year ago were promoting products that they got for free in PR. Like I said, you'd get suggested Marc Jacobs, Fenty, Huda, just a lot of variety, and a lot of us girls around 2016, when this new wave of beauty gurus kind of showed up on the scene, a lot of us looked at our makeup bags and realized that we were missing half the products suggested to us to have a flawless look. Like, I didn't know you needed primer, foundation, concealer, color corrector, contour, eyeliner, mascara, eyeshadow, lip liner, lipstick, highlight, bronzer, blush, powder, setting spray, brushes, and beauty blenders to have a flawless look. So we all at first bought a lot of these products being suggested to us because we didn't really have a lot of education about makeup at that time if you were anything like me. But now, if you're like me, you looked at your bag and realized you have 5 of everything and 20 palettes you don't use. And that's why I think sales and views are not as good as they were in the past anymore, because we have a lot of these products already. Now, we weren't the only ones with too much makeup, and for beauty gurus, sending them free makeup just wasn't cutting it for them anymore. And why promote a foundation you get for free in PR when you don't even need it to begin with because you already have 50 tubes of foundation? So you start asking for money instead. Just like when Nikita Dragun was obviously permitted to promote Huda Beauty in this video, she even kind of admits it in the comments, and by saying that she purchased a wig with the money. But not all companies have to do this, and they did good before YouTube and they'll do good after YouTube, and which in my opinion would explain why you don't see many of these product reviews anymore by super famous gurus, because they likely asked for too much money. And we actually know this to be half true thanks to Marlena Steele. So what do you do now that you're too big to just accept free makeup and promote it? This is where Morphe steps in. Now, as much as Morphe is trying to establish themselves as a legit makeup company and not one viewed as makeup you'd buy in bulk at Walmart during Christmas time, they're still failing miserably in my opinion by hiring big beauty gurus to promote their products, and here's why. Morphe, to me, I view it as a merch company. Jake Paul sells t-shirts, Ninja sells Fortnite in-game purchases, but when you're a beauty guru, if you sold makeup and called it merch, nobody would buy it. It's like the step before opening your own makeup line, aka merch company. Now, even though Jeffree Star's makeup line is good quality, the company that sells his makeup is called what? Killer Merch. Now, before Laura had Laura Lee Los Angeles, what did she promote almost constantly? Morphe. Now, Laura wasn't worried about her career ending when all that stuff went down because she wasn't fighting to keep an entire makeup company afloat. She literally just had a bunch of palettes / merch to sell. So I promise you, in a couple of years, Laura Lee Los Angeles will likely not be around, and if it is, it'll still be sold in waves and collections that come and go just like merch does. And this is what I said in my last video when I was talking about Laura Lee. Now, when they're promoting products that we could just buy at Sephora, they were selling us stuff that they got for free in PR. But now they don't need free makeup, so they sell us the makeup that they can make the most money off of, and that's makeup they can label and brand. And when you can't quite do it on your own, what do? You collab with Morphe. And I think in turn, this whole idea of merch makeup, which I know they would never dare to call it that, I know Jeffree Star would be offended if I said his makeup was merch, but you know, he kind of knows it is. And it's just that his makeup is better quality. But not all merch makeup is going to be good quality. And like I said before, gurus are asking for more money. And a lot of these makeup brands, especially the ones sold in Sephora or Ulta, did just fine before beauty influencers came on the scene, and they'll do fine without them. Sure, it likely raised sales for a little bit at some point, but it was still okay to slap a face on a brand. But I think a lot of these companies finally realized the risk in doing that. Because you don't know if that person the next day is going to get caught saying the N-word, and that throws a lot of risk on their company. And I think a lot of them just want to stay out of the drama and don't see the need to pay $60,000 to someone who could possibly tarnish their entire company's reputation in one tweet, especially when views are down. And I think that's why we don't see very many collabs anymore with influencers in Sephora or Ulta or any of those big makeup brands. And I think there's another reason too. And I think the other reason is that Morphe in the past was viewed as cheap makeup, and even though nowadays their makeup isn't so cheap anymore, I feel like some people still view them as cheap makeup. And so when beauty gurus promote this makeup, you know, people kind of think, you know, associate that person with cheap makeup. And I think a lot of the higher end brands now kind of look at like YouTuber collabs as something that's like kind of like a cheap ploy to like sell their makeup, and I think they want to avoid that now. So what does all this have to do with Cody and James? Well, basically what I'm saying is that Laura Lee Los Angeles is makeup merch. Jeffree Star's makeup is makeup merch. Morphe collabs is makeup merch. And in my opinion, what I would consider to be merch are products to which they have relied solely off the promotion from YouTubers to sell their products. And when Jake Paul does it, it's called merch. But when James Charles does it, it's called a makeup palette. No, sweetheart. This is merch. You can call it whatever you want. It's still a makeup palette, but it's still merch as well. And I think the issue a lot of people have with Morphe, aside from what I said, is also the fact that just last year you promoted a lot of makeup, and a lot of makeup that costed way more than anything Morphe would charge. Then a year later you turned it around and you promote Morphe in the same way as if these products could even compete with each other, when you know good and well that they don't.
Just because I modeled for this collection does not mean I can't throw a little bit of shade at my favorite brand. This should have been done a lot sooner, and
And any talented artist can make a palette work, unless it's like Maybelline. I'm sorry, but Maybelline is just a terrible makeup company. But your swatches were sketchy in your first video, and you know they were. I don't care if you want to talk about editing. You know how people are about swatches, so why would you do that? And more than one person has had stained lids, and these problems have arose before with Morphe. But since Morphe is paying you with money and not free makeup, you're going to promote these products that you get paid to promote. You're not going to down them. Like, you know how some people make negative reviews even though they get this makeup in PR? It's because that makeup was free. And you know, the rumor in the past was that sometimes they'd get paid to make negative reviews. I'm not even going to get into that, but I just got so off track. So let's just go back. So you're going to defend these products aggressively, just like Jaclyn Hill did. And a lot of these people suspected that she had more investment with the company than we really even knew. And even though James is just doing a collab with Morphe, so he likely doesn't have any financial responsibility attached to these palettes, obviously, though, he's still going to want to try to sell them because he's going to make more money the more palettes he sells, unlike, you know, promoting something in PR. Which, again, we don't really know if in the past they did get paid a lot of money. We do know eventually they did get paid, but I really am curious if they've been getting paid from the get-go. So, like, all these famous gurus, when they first started and they were getting free PR, were they also getting paid on top of that? Like, I'm really curious because a lot of me thinks that when a lot of these people started and they were getting free PR, that they weren't getting paid at first. Like they were just getting free makeup, but I could be wrong. So if anybody who knows this information and like legit knows this information, can provide receipts, DM me on Twitter, because I really want to know if like when they first started out and they only had like 50 or 100K and they got that free PR, if they were getting paid to promote the product on top of that, even if it was just $100. I really want to know. But anyway, so far what I'm saying is that Morphe products have a reputation of being questionable, yet why do all these beauty gurus continue to work with Morphe knowing that it's a mediocre product at best?
No tea, no shade to other girls that can't use Morphe shadows.
Maybe if you knew how to do makeup, you could use them.
And that's all.
Obviously, the answer is money. And when you're a beauty guru and you can't sell makeup and call it merch, nobody would buy it. So you have to slap a brand name on the product. And like I said before, some people have enough money to front like they have an entire makeup company like Laura Lee Los Angeles. And the ones that don't end up collabing with Morphe. So you don't understand what I'm trying to say. If you don't, just imagine if James Charles, instead of collabing with Morphe, made a palette, named it like the James Charles palette, and sold it in his merch shop. People would have so many questions like, what brand is it? What are the ingredients? Who made it? And unlike Jake Paul or any other YouTuber who makes a t-shirt line, nobody cares about the brand behind the t-shirt. But as long as, you know, Jake Paul's name is just slapped on it, you can't do the same thing with makeup. So fast forward to today. Not just views, but also sales have been down for a while now. And that's the rumor. And I can't really confirm it because I don't know, I'm not like these other people where I go like and do research. But I'm just assuming by what people have said that sales and views are down. And so now that Sephora and the brands they sell are no longer getting this free promotion out of PR, what do? So if you've noticed last year, it was very rare for Sephora to give out a discount. And I remember last year you had to spend $350 to get a VIP status, and then you would get 10% discount in the mail to use at Sephora, which at the time I thought was a big deal, but just wait. But anyways, so nowadays Sephora gives about 10 to 20% discount almost every weekend. And if you're buying your usual products, that's a steal in my opinion, but not if you're buying, you know, the new stuff that Sephora has been selling, like the value kits, the Sephora favorite kits, and they usually do this around Christmas time. But this year, everything they're selling, in my opinion, is a complete ripoff. Like everything they're selling for Christmas is just ridiculously priced. I mean, look at this item. They're charging $90 for 12 samples. And that's just ridiculous. But I think the reason for this isn't because they actually think that people will pay $90 for this. And I at least hope this is the case. But when it's 20% off or 50% off, that's a different story. And I think the pull is to offer a discount to get people in the store, but then jack up the prices. So when you apply the discount, essentially they're selling the product for the price they actually wanted to sell it to you for. I mean, compare it to last year. The fact that they do a sale every weekend now, but last year they never did sales, but a lot of their stuff was a lot cheaper. Like, you're not fooling at Sephora, and on top of that, half of the samples they put in these value boxes are just overstock samples that we've received in the last year through Sephora Play, the Sephora Rewards program, or Sephora Beauty offers you get online with in-store purchases. They're always in the same shades too. Like, you know how many times I've gotten a Tarte blush in the shade Party or a Benefit mascara? It is ridiculous. So back to James Charles, he says in this tweet that everybody is just straight up lying for attention. Like, did you even read what you typed, James Charles? How come these beauty gurus have not noticed that half of us hate Morphe by now? Like, we support you, James, but we don't support Morphe. And I think a lot of beauty gurus get that confused, that we like Morphe, but in reality, we just want to support our favorite beauty guru. And that's a lot of the reason why we buy the products they suggest, because we just want to support you. And James is really honest about his Facetune and a lot of other things. However, a lot of us forget that that's why all of his content looks better than ours, because he has professionals there to perfect his editing, his pictures, his lighting. You know, he has a lot of help behind him. And I mean, he's successful and good for him. But now I can understand, though, both sides of the story. You know, when James says things like people are lying for attention, it really does make it really hard for me to side with him. Yes, Cody's video was over the top, but that's what her Twitter is about. It's the shock value, it's the humor, it's unique, but it works for her. She's gone from 200 followers to 5,000 in the last 2 months on Twitter, so she's obviously doing something right. And James just seems like the type that just can't take any criticism. And I get where he's coming from. Maybe he really believes in his product, but he knows Morphe has a bad stigma around it and it being pushed out too much, giving us the impression that the products are cheaply made and giving us the impression that they treat every Morphe collab like you would if you were selling a merch t-shirt. So in essence, some people, without even trying the product, don't really give it a real chance and, you know, just down on it. And I think James, you know, he should have known that with collabing with Morphe that you were going to win some and you were going to lose some, you know. And in this instant, you fell for it, James. And I think that's what people wanted, is a reaction out of you. And they got it. And it's kind of made the situation worse. But now, before I get off, I just want to tell a story. And James, if by some weird, crazy way you watched my video and watched it till the end, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice. And this is advice for anybody who's watching my video. But let me just explain. So, and this is another reason why I wanted to comment on this, because this is a situation that actually happened to me a year ago, but it went about a very different way. So I got a product from a company that I had used in the past many times, but this time I used it a little bit differently. It was a sheet mask and I had received their moisturizer. So I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, I'll use the sheet mask and then put the moisturizer on afterwards. Well, as a result, I ended up getting a chemical burn on my cheeks. And I was the first person that they claimed for this to have happened to. But first, what I did was kind of like what Cody did. I went on Instagram. I was very critical. I was angry. I was yelling. And I was pretty much like almost as bad as her in my video. I went off and I called the company out. And, you know, I only had 1,000 followers, so I really didn't think much would come out of it. But 2 hours later, the company was reaching out to me in my DMs. And as soon as I realized that they had seen my story, I deleted it because I felt really bad because they were so caring and concerned and they made sure I was okay. And that's what you should have done, James. And if you've noticed, Morphe has yet to do that with any of their customers. They always rely on the beauty guru to make it right, or whoever's promoting it, which is why I think, again, that this is merch. But back to my story, the company, instead of coming at me in a very condescending way, like I said, they were very concerned and caring. And as a result, like I said, I felt bad and I took the video down. And they ended up sending me their entire skincare line for sensitive skin. And although I'll admit I wasn't ever going to use that brand again, I just held a giveaway and gave their products away to a girl who ended up loving the gift. So maybe it really was just me and that product just affected me. But they didn't make me feel like I was a liar or it was my fault or I did something wrong. They took accountability and they made it right, which is what anybody should do in that situation. If you're selling a product, you shouldn't go off on your subscribers. And a lot of beauty gurus have this problem. They have this entitlement that they're not, you know, that because they're so rich and famous, they don't have to treat us like we're customers, you know, like it's almost like you're the manager of a business, you know, or the man, like imagine, you know, being at a restaurant and your steak was cooked wrong and the manager just comes up to you and was like, well, sorry, but in my opinion, this steak is cooked right. My cook is a good cook and, you know, you could just like it or not like it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, imagine if a manager was that rude or responded to people in the way that some of these beauty gurus respond to their fans. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, you know, a lot of people were saying that Cody just didn't know how to apply makeup and, it was just wrong. You know, she kind of went off and I'm sure she triggered a lot of people with her video, but James could have responded in a way that could have made this wrong right, but he didn't. So the lesson I feel like you should learn, or anybody should learn from this entire ordeal, and again, I'm the last person you should really listen to for advice, and I'm saying this at the end of the video, but anyways, in my opinion, you should always kill them with kindness. Like, that has been my motto for a long time. And negativity never gets you anywhere. Calling people, making reviews, liars for attention just makes you look just as salty as Ninja when he dies in Fortnite. So the moral of the story is don't be a ninja.